So everybody that's watching, I see is probably like 11 people on my Facebook alone. So thank you guys for tuning in. This podcast episode kind of came after I saw a video that was posted by a British, I don't know, I guess an influencer named ZZ Mills. I don't know how y'all feel about it. Low key, I don't know how I started to follow her.
Yeah. So you followed her from before?
Yeah, I don't know exactly how, but I did.
Controversial.
Okay, well, yeah. Then I do follow quite a few controversial people.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Some might say I'm a little controversial myself, so I'll take that. But she had a very interesting insight about Black Americans and just kind of like our outlook on Africanism and us, our origin and stuff like that. So I felt like it was important to kind of have a conversation. So as I was in the comments, I started recruiting people to tune in. The other people had meetings, so they're not able to tune in. They might tune in later, but we're gonna make it do what it do. And I'm really happy, Tanya. Thank you for you know, logging in, and we've been having late night conversations. That one night we was talking, man, you had me up at like 4 in the morning. I just want you to know it was about 4, 5 in the morning.
You know what? I was looking at the time. I was looking at my time because it was well into the like afternoon for me, and I was like, or like late morning. I was thinking, wait, hold on, look at the time. You're like 5 hours behind me. What time is it over there right now?
Man, it's like 4 a.m. I'm messaging. I'm like, all right.
Committed.
I for sure had a meeting at 8 a.m. too.
Oh no! Oh my god!
It got done. They got what they needed. It's all good.
Your host.
It's all good. So yeah, so I kind of wanted to just start off this conversation. Yes, John, Tanya is British. Yes, she is. So that's these comments always get good. That's why I wanted to do it like that. So Tanya, I know you're one person, but I wanted to get like an insight on like what is, first of all, I guess the British outlook on America in general.
That's a very wide question.
I mean, we have our views as Black people on Britain, right?
Yeah.
They are the colonizers themselves, right? So that's how I think of it, other than kind of like tea and crumpets, stuff like that.
This is what I said to you as well. Remember I said that in the chat. Like, I don't know, I feel like for Black, I can't talk on white people in Britain, but as a Black person in Britain, like what we learn about American Black history and Black culture, a lot of it is taught in our schools as part of our curriculum. Whereas I feel like, but it's the same kind of narrative, like what you probably get in majority of schools in America talking about slavery, and you have like we have Black History Month over here as well. But
really,
yeah, like
is it in February?
Is
it February?
No, I was in October.
Oh, okay. Y'all got a long month.
Yeah. This is why, like, before I carry on with my point, this is why when me and you were talking, Clifton, I was like, some of the things that I was saying, I was quite surprised to see that you were surprised to hear about it, because I'm like, yeah, like we learn this stuff, we have this stuff over here as well. Not everyone probably takes to it, probably like not everyone takes to it in America and other places around the world, but it's part of our curriculum to know about this stuff. And Black History Month, we have, I would say that London in itself as a city is probably one of the most multicultural cities in the world, because it's not just black and white. You have Black, white, Indian, Asian, Eastern European, like in full, like Turkish, everything all in one place. Like it's all one big thing. So when you go to like other places around Europe, it's a bit different. But in Britain, like as we look at America, like we like your news is our news basically. And this is why I asked you before, what is your representation of the UK and Black British people in the UK? Because as you said to me, you don't see that much about it. Like, America is such a big place. Do you know what I mean? So you have your own news and you just see news from other states, whereas I feel like America is like the UK times 1,000, if that makes sense. Like, it's big. Like, UK and USA are like this, you know, like ally wise, they're both like that. So we know what's going on. And I find it crazy how even just the fact that what's it called, that you're surprised to hear that we have a Black History Month. Like, it's surprising. Like, it's a big thing. Like, the Black community here is very strong as well for many reasons. Like after slavery, a lot of the things, not like, even though majority of that kind of stuff, well, not after slavery, but during that whole colonization around the world and stuff like that, like majority of it did go to America, but a lot of it also went to Europe. Do you get what I mean? So it's that space around each other. So I mean, our view of you, like, we know what it's about. Like, we know about majority of the activist leaders. Like, we stand strong with it. Like you said, protests over there when we was talking about COVID before we went live. Like, we had Black Lives Matter protests going on here in London as well. It wasn't just in London, it was in Bristol, it was everywhere. Because from one thing that happens there, America in itself is like a culture, if that makes sense. Like, Americanization is a real thing. So like, that's like the sign of capitalism, basically. So you go around the world, you're gonna have that, probably not as in full force as it is in America, but you have that in other places as well. Because at the end of the day, where you've got Black people, we all know about oppression. Oppression isn't just in America, it's everywhere when it comes to Black people. So we have our communities that stand strong as well, you know. I don't know, we have a lot. It's a lot. Like, America's is very amplified. So we hear about it too. We see about it. Like, talk about Black History Month. I remember when I was in school, I never went to school in London. I don't know if you've ever heard of Essex, but that's like a very white area, just out of London. It's like 5-10 minutes away from me by car, but it's technically a different borough, like city, whatever they want to call it. And my school's majority white. Majority of the people that go there, if you're not from East London, which London, as soon as you get into the London side of the students, it's different to the Essex side of the students. And the Essex side is like, remember when I was talking about how we have like extremist parties as well, like nowhere near on the same level as the KKK, but we have extremist parties like the EDL, which is the English Defence League. They're all like nationalist parties, like, go back to your country, go back to where you came from, you're all this and that, you're taking our jobs, blah, 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 blah. We also have the British National Party, which actually was, I think they had seats in Parliament, I'm not quite sure. And with my school, they wrote a article on my school saying that our school is racist to white people, because they're saying that they're teaching students that Black people actually did things like invent things in the world. They're saying that your school is racist for actually having a Black History Month. And bearing in mind, our school, even though it's in Essex, we had quite a fair share of people from East London, from Caribbean backgrounds, from Black backgrounds, from all these kind of backgrounds. And like, they called my head teacher a liberal airhead for wanting to share these things. They just clamped down on the teacher. But for the area that it is, there was a lot of people that supported that idea, you know. Like on my last year of school, so we call it like year 11. I don't know what year 13, which is like sixth form. I'm not sure what you'd call that in
senior year, like in high school, like the last year of high school.
So like, you have high school, and then you have which is like year 7, so that'll probably be like 7th grade for you. Then we have year 11, and then you have year 12 and year 13, which is like extended years. So we call it sixth form. You either do that or you go to college.
Hold on, back up.
I know,
you
right?
Said,
you that one down.
You said that high school is middle school? It's like 7th grade?
Like, what grade how old are you when you graduate high school?
I don't know what you call high school. I don't know. Like, the education system is so different.
So what's the last year before college?
Well, your college is university, right?
Yeah, see, that's why that's the question. Like, so yeah. How old are you when you technically graduate high school? How old are you?
18. 16.
18.
Okay.
16.
It's 16. That's the last of the school years, and you could do extended education, which is either college or sixth form.
Yeah, so they graduated in like 10th grade.
Really?
Yeah, that's us.
So then we do, so GCSEs, for example, I don't know how it's done in America, but GCSEs are year 9 and 10, year 10 and 11, which is the end. You finish that at 16. That's when you'll get your grades. That's basically when you do all of that kind of stuff. And then we don't have graduations at each end of the year, that each term that we finish either, like I'm pretty sure you do in America.
No, we don't.
Oh, you don't?
No, so ours is set up like in the elementary school. So like kindergarten to 5th grade, and then middle school is 6th to 8th. And then 9th to 12th is high school. And after high school, you done. And you can go do whatever you're going to do.
How old do you finish high school? How old are you when you finish high school?
18.
18. See, we finish our GCSEs and stuff at 16. Then you go on to future education, which is like sixth form, which is like A levels, or you go to college where you do another 2 years, and then you finish at 18. But really and truly, we don't have graduations until you go on to university and you pass your degrees or do whatever it is. Yeah. And then you probably finish that at like 21. I think it's like 21. But anyway, so around this, so I'm in year 13 now. I'm doing my last year of sixth form in school. And my school were talking about, they wanted to take away Black History Month, and they wanted to call it Multicultural Month. And we were like, there was like a group of, I remember it was me and my 5 friends, all Black girls, and we were like, you can't do that, because you want to celebrate St. Patrick's Day and you want to do all these things, and we don't take away your day of celebration. So how can you say that you want to take away Black History Month, the only thing in this school that actually represents us? And we went back and forth with it. We got it for that year, but after that year, as I said, I left that school. I don't know what they did. Well, I'm hoping that they still kept Black History Month, because we fought for it hard. Like, we were like, you can't just do that. Like, we had a Black teacher in our school, used to have a billboard outside his classroom with like all Black inventors, all like everything positive to do with Black people. Because in schools, as you said, Quentin, like you said that you actually have Black schools and Black universities that actually teach and push. We don't have this over here. So like, you can do like Saturday schools to learn about that stuff, or you have like certain like Black cultural archives, which are like groups of people that get together, but it's not schools and universities like that. So we were like, we're fed up of just being shown, for example, Roots every Black History Month, and you basically, white teachers trying to tell us that that's all of our history, when it's not. And even that was a fight in itself, because we're like, come on, like, we're very underrepresented over here. Like, it's crazy. Like, I don't know. But then even that was still mainly American Black history, not much about British Black history. So I don't know if that kind of answered your question. Sorry, that was quite long-winded. But...
Nah, I mean, we all here to talk, right? Yeah. So however long you want to talk, it's all good with me. Yeah. And I mean, you said a lot of things that are like really interesting too. Like, so Black History Month is federal here, right? So it's February, period. Everywhere in the United States, it's February.
Is there a reason why it's in February?
I think they just gave us the shortest month. That's our understanding of it.
Yeah, that's so rude. You don't know. Yeah.
But I mean, that's how we take it. But it's a federal thing. All schools pretty much have to, all places understand that Black History Month is then. Commercially, it's the same thing, right? Mm-hmm. So, you know, they might have Black History Month Nikes, Black History Month Jordans.
Yeah,
Black
it's so commercial.
Sale. You know what I'm saying? It is what it is.
I see that though. I do see that, because, sorry to cut you, like, even when, like, I follow like the Shade Room, for example, and I see the way how that is so amplified, and the same way I love it, but I do see the commercial side of it. I wouldn't say that it's as commercial over here. Yeah, I wouldn't say it's as commercial. It still means a lot and it still holds a strong place, but I wouldn't say it's as commercialized over here. So, but I feel like maybe this year, with everything that's gone on with like George Floyd and stuff, I feel like maybe they will try to commercialize it a little bit. But we'll see how it goes.
May I ask? So, so if it's not really commercialized, like, is it really like heavily celebrated, or is it just like it comes and goes and no one really even knows that it even happened?
I would say like I would say that like in the schools and stuff, especially when you've got majority, from the time that you've got a black population and we know that it's Black History Month, we're riding out for it no matter what. Do you know what I mean? Like it's something that's strong for us. Maybe for the rest of the communities, like I remember again being in school, you always had them white people like, so why isn't there a White History Month? Why can't we have that? And having to explain to them at like the age of 11 or 10, well, you didn't go through the same things that we went through as a race. So White History Month view is like it's like every other day besides this month, kind of thing. But I would say like it's strong to us, but maybe to everybody else, like the rest of the community, it's just another month to them. Like it's not up there.
Oh, okay. So it can come and go, you know,
Okay.
without any form of representation or any acknowledgement.
Depending on who it's from, like depending on where the acknowledgement is coming from. Like if it's your own personal thing in schools, they'll big it up. They do all this and that, like they do whatever.
Yeah, but as a whole, no.
As a whole, no. Yeah.
Okay.
I wouldn't
Yeah.
say so.
I mean, well, hey.
Yeah,
I mean, it's like that over here too. Like, not to be funny, but it's almost seeming like it's becoming a pastime, you know, as if like, you know, it's not really something that we represent. Like, I don't even think many know that Kwanzaa is an actual like African American, like California created holiday. Like, it's not like some really mystical African heritage thing.
Even
you know,
Juneteenth is not like.
Exactly.
I mean, even till this, because I remember coming out to Alabama and it was Juneteenth, and I'm like, man, where the stuff at? And a lot of people didn't know what I was talking about. And I'm like, y'all, we in Alabama and y'all ain't doing Juneteenth, and in California it's a thing.
I feel like through like again, like I follow quite a few American pages on Instagram, so I would say that maybe if it wasn't through them places, probably other people do, but I don't personally know about Kwanzaa, and I don't really know about Juneteenth either. But maybe that's a different cultural thing again. I'm not sure. Like over here, that is not. I don't really hear about that at all.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
I mean, but you got to think about it, though, in the UK, I mean, they wouldn't really have a reason to celebrate Juneteenth. I mean, because, you know, they had been free for a while, you know, by the time we had Juneteenth.
Yeah, and they didn't really have slaves on the land, did they?
I mean, I think there was a time period, wasn't there?
I mean, they did, because I was even saying it to Quinton in the other conversation that we was having before. I said, for example, we found out probably this year that reparations paid out to British slave owners only stopped in 2015. So that was coming out of our pay. That was coming out of our taxpayers' money, our money paying these elites now, British elite people, like money, just like as it is.
You guys were paying the slave owners for not being slaves no more out of y'all taxes.
Like there's a good documentary that I watched on BBC Two, and it was it's a black historian. Yeah, it's a black historian, and he done like a whole series of documentaries. This is a guy's book. I don't know if you can see it. His name is David Osiluga. I'm not quite sure, but he's a black British guy, and he went on the whole like range of like black and British forgotten history, and from things like, just like in America, like slaves were seen as property. So just like America had so much land and so much property, so did Britain, you know? So when slavery was still big over here, but when it kind of got abolished by British people, I'm just going to put that because slavery hasn't really ever stopped properly. It showed like a lot of the people felt like they were losing out on money. They feel like they were being done wrong by, you know? So reparations were paid out to these people, and now these people have names on big corporate companies, big railways, big banks, big everything, just like in America. So yeah, our reparations basically.
Oh, okay. So you guys closely resemble us when it comes to the land. When it comes to the GI bills and things like that, like how post-slavery, they gave all of the land and everything as far as, you know, they didn't call it reparations, but they just gave all our land away to the more European, and then, but they didn't give any to our grandparents, you know, who actually fought the war also. So now we don't have the same land and the same, you know, generational wealth as they have, only because, you know, of their form of reparations that was given from the
how you
state and country as a whole.
Exactly how you said it is exactly what it is.
The only other thing I would say too about I think how we celebrate things like Juneteenth and Black History Month and how it can be kind of regional, I would say before social media, I think depending upon where you're from, Black history was very, I think, particular to the family you came from. So some families took, I think, certain aspects more serious than others. So, for example, I mean, until I got to HBCU, still in college, I had never seen a Black woman with natural hair. Like my entire life until I was like 18 years old, I had only seen perms my whole life.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
So, I mean, I only ever seen afros like an undercover brother, like on TV, stuff like that. And that's growing up.
That's crazy.
Where are you from?
I mean, Birmingham. I mean, I was born in Montgomery, grew up in Birmingham. I mean, so
you know what? They did have a lot of straight perms.
Think about it. Did you ever see anybody with dreads or anything like that?
Never. We even had songs called "Shake Them Dreads" in California. They didn't have it in Birmingham. You were right.
And I didn't say it till like around. It didn't start changing to around like 2010. And so like now you see it like it's common now. But like I would say like for the longest, like I mean that was like to me at least. I mean I didn't even know how I recognized natural hair. Because I just didn't see it.
Wow.
So
what part of Birmingham are you from? Like, what's the city?
So I stayed in Bessemer. That's like where I actually stayed at, went to high school at. And so, but I was born in Montgomery. Family's from Selma. So I spent like half my life down there, like Montgomery, Selma area. And then like the second half, I would say like middle school, high school, was pretty much Bessemer area. So
I'm mind blown. I cannot believe it.
And
I'm mind blown.
And just to back up onto what Tanya was saying, so I know that you mentioned the GI Bill, and I was explaining that to her, Flo, a little while ago, and even for the people on here, because I know that some people don't really know about that too. But I'm gonna back up. The money that they were paying in 2015 were to the people that actually owned the slaves. So you know how when slavery ended, they cashed the people back out for the slaves that they lost, right?
Yeah.
Right? So, but in Britain, they was paying that out until 2015.
Yeah.
Whereas here, we just paid them.
Yeah. 2015, like, it was a long, so imagine from, like, this is, like, over, like, 2 centuries ago, like, up until now. And obviously, the money went up. So it's more reparations that come out, but they weren't like they gave people the checks and you pay it off. At that time, that was a lot of money for that time. So as the years have gone on, they split it out and they've cut it out and they put it into this corporation and they put it into that one. But really and truly, this is another thing that I hate. When white people look down at, and this is anywhere around the world, when white people look down on Black people, they're like, oh, you guys are lazy, you don't want to work, you don't want to do this and that. And it's like, but hold on, you're an elite only because your family's been paid out from our suffering and our oppression. Like, that's it. And you have claimed all this money. 2015, that's 5 years ago. That's my people, that's my grandmothers and grandfathers and everybody else who, if they will know, I'm second generation British, but like it's a lot, like, to know that all that was paid out and so brazenly as well. It's sad.
It really is. It's like it's almost beyond sad. It's not. There's a word. It's not exploitive. What is? It's almost. It's kind of insulting. It's like you got to put a word onto that. Exactly, like what that is.
It's a violation.
Yes, like the gall. Yeah. We're paying you to be free in a sense, and I think that's so I have to be honest, like, just even hearing like this side of the story, like hearing like, your conversation, it actually kind of relaxes me in a sense, as far as unity side note, Jonathan gave the word. It's despicable. That's the word. Thank you, Jonathan. It's totally despicable. You know what I mean? Oh, That's the great word. But like I said, it brings, a form of unity, I feel, because it's like, even from like that little excerpt that Quinn had showed originally, that's like how we all came to this particular form anyways, is because it was just saying that there's a disconnect between us. You know what I mean? Like, Black people and British, African American, you know, that like we don't have the same struggles or the same, you know, information. Like we're not looking at life through the same lenses. But in all actuality, it seems like we are, you know, and it's the same exact thing.
Do you know what though? Like at the end of the day, like oppression is oppression. Do you get what I mean? And it filters out in many different ways. Like what I said over here, even I think Darius mentioned about like with Juneteenth and the way how it's represented in different places. Like over here, when we still celebrate Black History Month, it's still mainly American Black history, if that makes sense. Like it's not about British, like it's like Britain kind of wants to turn a blind eye to the fact that racism happens here. Like during this whole Black Lives Matter protest that's happened again, like we had like weeks of protests down here, you know. We've had our own protests due to the same kind of things, which I'll get into a bit later. And the UK government was trying to say that the UK ain't racist, and we were like, you're like one of the most racist people in this world.
Y'all are the
like,
racist.
The racist ones. You know what I mean? Like, you are actually the most racist ones. You're the reason why all this happened in the first place. You're the reason why so many people are in America. You're the reason why so many people were taken to the Caribbean, taken around Europe. It's you guys. And they're trying to tell us that the UK ain't racist. At least in America, a lot of people kind of know that they're racist. Do you get what I mean?
You know, but one thing I will say though, I feel like the Portuguese they really do skate because the Portuguese get a lot of shit. They skate a lot. I mean, people care about them.
So, I mean, for people that don't know, because I know it's people that's watching or whatever, the Portuguese were the first people with slavery, and I mean, me personally, I think it has a lot to do with the Moors running Spain, and they was right up under there.
But I'm about to say the Spaniards.
I ain't gonna get all into that. You know what I'm saying? But I mean, if you didn't know, blacks ran Spain for like 700, 800 years. It was a big problem in Europe, but they couldn't get niggas out of there. Yeah. After that, Portuguese kind of started slavery and taking Africans from Africa, and then everybody else joined in. Nobody really, I don't know anybody that's ever studied the relationship to that, but it's something that I think has to be related, but you know.
Yeah, I mean, well, I can kind of speak to that a little bit because I was just fortunate enough to actually go to Gorée Island in Senegal, and like the Portuguese built that, you know, that was like pretty much the largest, like, you know, slave transfer station. So from Gorée Island in Senegal, basically you went to the Americas. And if you were, there was another one in Angola too that they built. And to this day, actually in Angola, they speak Portuguese, but they went to like, you know, Brazil. So that's why Brazil has like the second, well, I think they do have the largest black population in America.
Outside of Africa.
The largest because of those, slave transfer stations that the Portuguese built in Angola and Senegal. So, I mean, they were the ones who like really, they're the reason we're in America now.
Yeah, I mean, so. You always hear of, like, I have a lot of friends over here who are like Portuguese, but Angolan Portuguese. Like, there's so many of the like Portuguese Angolan people. It's very
wow, that's
I mean, they like pretty much
so would that
whole culture.
Oh my bad.
Like,
so would that be like our Creole in the sense then?
Probably, yeah. Like you have a like Ghana.
Like, just think about it.
I don't know, because Creole is what? Spanish, French.
There you go. French and African at the end of the day. It's not so much Spanish.
I don't know. It's hard to say. I mean, because like I don't know. Like they've been so what's that word for like when you take in another race into your own in Angola? What's that word? Assimilated. They've been so assimilated by the Portuguese culture. I mean, like from what I heard, I met somebody from Angola. They were saying like, I mean, they don't even want to speak their native language in a lot of parts of the country.
Yeah.
I mean, like it's like it's deep. Like So I mean, like when you have it on that level, it's kind of like it's crazy.
Like it's just like you have a lot of Ghanaian French people. You know, like some of them French is their first language. So that's all to do with that same kind of thing that Darius was saying. Like it's crazy. It's crazy.
But, and you know, it's also kind of weird though, because I feel like for a while, I would say UK was like pretty much number one, Portugal was number two. But I think in the past 30 years, I think America's, you know, pushing up to be number one now. Cause I feel like I went to Portugal and like, I got to say, like, I mean, every black person there seemed pretty happy. And it's like it was a pretty ethical, forward-moving place. But in America, it just seems like, which it's hard to say in America because I feel like so much of what we do, and I feel like so much anger is fueled by what you see on social media. And I just feel like the way it's kind of marketed, it's kind of made to make you angry in just a lot of ways. Like, Q, did you see last week about that CNN story about how, like, it was Andrew Cuomo, he was talking to Andrew Cohen, and they got recorded, off the mic, and like he was basically coaching Michael Cohen, and he's like being all nice, like, yeah, I'm gonna tell you, but I'm gonna say this, and then you're gonna say that, and he's being all nice to him. And then the actual CNN owner was like praising Trump off the mic too, and it's kind of like, it's amazing how like the same people who will talk so much shit on air, off the mic, they have these private feelings, and it's all for telling the story. Yeah. And that was probably one of the biggest things I've ever heard is like, you have to be so careful when you watch the news because their job is to tell a story. They're not trying to really necessarily do good, just trying to tell a story.
Yeah, and I mean, you got to think when we talk about Trump in itself, right? And even the idea, because at this point he's like an idea and a concept and an ideology, right? I mean, it's on the upper tier, it's about capitalism, right? So if you got money, Trump ain't that bad. Even if you're black, if you got money, he ain't that bad, right? Or have large enough aspirations to be rich. Because I got older friends that, OGs even, from our neighborhood that have, struck money big and, they all right with Trump. No matter how racist he is, because they expect white people to be racist anyway.
Yeah. But I think this is where the UK and America come very close together as well. Because, like, for example, in the UK, we have the Tory government. I don't know if you've heard much about them. It's a conservative. So you have the Labour, which is for the people.
Yeah, break down how y'all government runs, too, because a lot of us have no idea. Because I've been watching this show on Netflix called Borgen or something like that, and it's about Danish, how the Danish government run. Y'all got more than 2 parties and parliament and all this other stuff, which we ain't got.
So you have the main, like, the parliament. Like, I don't know that much about it, but I could give you the rundown of the basics. So
yeah, I just need the basics.
In parliament, you have like, there's many political parties, but however, it's how many can actually take the seats of parliament. Whoever takes up the most, for example, becomes a prime minister. So like, you have the Tories, Conservatives at the moment. They're very right winged. So probably like that's why Donald Trump loves them off right now. And then you have Labour, which is like for the working people, like the unions and stuff like that. And they get a lot of crap basically from the rich people. They get a lot of crap because they're for the people. They want to help out the majority, because really and truly the rich and the elite people only make up like a few percent compared to everybody else, right? But as you just said about Donald Trump, like, you will have rich people or rich black people or people who want money because they care about their business and stuff like that, who knows, for example, that the Conservatives are a racist. They go way, like Margaret Thatcher, I'm pretty sure you've heard of her, just about like, they are huge allies of people like George Bush, like from back in the day. Like, they were huge allies with them people because they are for those people. They were always seen as the rich middle class white people, if that makes sense. Yeah. And that is what they're going across for now. So black people, you will have black people voting for Tory if they're of a certain wage bracket, because as you said, it's really how much you care about yourself. After a while, like, just like Trump is a very selfish party in terms of like economics and other things like that, is the same way how the Conservatives are. Like, the Conservatives and Trump, that's why they get along, because they're so alike. Their views are exactly the same. Thank you. Like, it's
right.
It's a lot.
So,
I don't know if I'm saying that properly.
I mean, no, you did. So with us, we really only have 2 parties. We only have 2. So it's the Democrats and the Republicans. It's
you don't maybe have the smaller ones.
Well, I guess we got the Green Party, but they've never won anything. They've never won Congress, anything like that. So
you got more labels than anything. Like, they'll just label you at you're labeled as a liberal, or you're labeled as a Green Party
within the Democrats, but it's still all grouped together. So the moderate Democrats and the liberal far left Democrats might vote together on certain things, but it's still one party. They gonna have one candidate each, and then we gonna vote for whatever one candidate they got, and that's on local level. Whatever the candidates on whatever party gonna figure it out. They gonna pick one person, and that's the person they running. The other one gonna figure it out. and they gonna pick one person, and that's the person they running, and then that's who run.
Well, that's kind of how they do it over here as well. Like as you said, like we do have a lot of like small, like little parties. Like you have the Green Party that cares about the earth. You have like the Liberal Democrats, which is I don't really know what they do because they've never won. But as you said, like the two main parties usually are Conservatives and Labour, just like your ones are the Republicans.
And
Republicans are who? Is the Democrats?
That's Trump and them. That's Republicans.
Yeah. So
sometimes they call it the GOP, Grand Old Party.
So your Republican Party is like our Conservative Party. They both carry on the same. They both run the same. They both kind of think the same way.
Yes.
And then our what's that one again? Democratic Party is like, because it's Democrats, like democracy, stuff like that.
Right.
Our one is like Labour, you know. But as of late, the way how the world has been going, Labour's just been going down here. It gets a lot more crap from people, and Conservatives, especially from a certain age group, like even like the whole, like even with like the whole Brexit thing that we had happening, which is a shambles. I'm not even gonna get into that. But majority of people in London, because we're multicultural and there's a lot of young people, there's a lot of, we all have, because we're such a multicultural city, like our ways of thinking and as compared to outside of London and other places are different. It's a lot more open-minded. So a lot of people over here voted for Labour and voted against Brexit because we didn't want to leave. Like it's a good state for us, you know. But obviously people outside of these places in the smaller towns and villages where it's majority white people and older people, they're looking at London and all these other things that they see on the news, because we don't hear about their news outside of London because we're the capital, but they hear about our news. So they look at us and they're like, oh, you got too much going on right now. We're going to vote in Tories. We're going to vote in we're going to vote Brexit because we don't want to be a part of it. And really and truly, it's backfired, just like Donald Trump has backfired with America, you know? Like, it's crazy. Like, Donald Trump is, like, best friends with Boris Johnson right now.
Yeah, I know.
They love each other. They're both idiots and they love each other.
I don't even know if it's about them being idiots or not. I think it's more or less about the morale. It's like once you get to a place to where you don't really care about how you affect other people, then you know it's all downhill from there. You know, it doesn't really have anything to do with nothing else. Honestly.
And you know what scares me most? I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, go ahead.
Oh, you're fine.
I think what scares me most is that I think that, you know, from what I've seen, just similarities between when John Kerry ran against George Bush, and that I'm pretty sure that Trump is almost guaranteed to win. And I can tell you why. It's because of everything that's happened with George Floyd, even though there's a lot of white supporters, this defund police rhetoric is scaring away white moderates. And we need them to win the election. We cannot win them because as much as we have a multicultural nation that's growing in terms of, like, you know, Black and I guess anything associated with it, we're not there yet. And you know, with Obama, I think that was probably the biggest thing. Obama, like, he ran the suburbs. And I feel like if you scare people who live in the suburbs, this whole idea of not having the police, they don't even know how to function without having that. And they don't agree with that. And so the last time when, you know, Hillary was ahead in the polls and, like, you know, all them white folks had a secret, basically. You know, they're saying, oh, yeah, go Hillary, because they didn't want to be judged by their coworkers, but secretly voted for Trump, because that's exactly what happened. You know, that's going to happen again because, you know, deep down, they're not going to support that. And I think, you know, the rhetoric is scaring away moderates. And I think that's 100%. Very dangerous.
I was about to say what you just said just kind of scared me a bit. Look, can we speak in let's speak in more scientific terminology as to where we don't use definites because we don't know the future. How about it's a possibility? You know,
I'm just saying, like, I mean,
a very strong possibility. But on the contrary, though, I understand exactly what you're saying. Though you can be really comfortable to come from that angle. But then on the contrary, though, you know, like I guess I think that when I hear it spoken so blatantly and so direct that this is the absolute end and there is no other option, I think that is what eliminates us, or as far as especially the younger ones, from even thinking about voting. It's like, well, hey, if we already predicted that my word or my vote mean absolutely nothing, then there's no reason for me to even, you know, go into it. You know what I mean? I mean, that's just my observation as far as, you know, speaking to younger people and things like that. So when we broadcast and live and everyone has the ability to hear a thought pattern or thought process, that's just my point of view. I think that we should maybe keep it where there can be some form to wiggle in there with a different way of doing things or a different thought.
I apologize. I'm an earth sign, so I'm very blunt.
Yeah, and I'm psychology. I'm psychology, so I can't go on that.
And I'm also I'm also a scientist. So I mean, a lot of times I make very analytical observations, and I don't really think about that dynamic you just brought into it. So I apologize for that. Anyone watching, don't let that discourage you from doing that. It's not too late.
I think in terms of what like Darius was saying, I'm not gonna lie, I feel like that's probably the most realistic look at it right now. I do feel like us looking at it, seeing we see a lot about American politics. We've seen the way how the country has panned out over the last 4 years, and to see the way how things are happening again. I don't want to say it, but as you said, I think there's a strong possibility that Donald Trump is gonna I don't know. I feel like Donald Trump has got it again, and no one wants that. But I feel like if he got it the first time, he could definitely get it the second time.
I think the opposite.
Do you?
I mean, please go. Because I'm just gonna raise my hand like this.
This is how I see it, right? Being honest, Hillary was a terrible candidate. She has no charisma, and she was untrustworthy. She just was. I didn't even want to vote for her. I didn't even want to vote for her.
She was just bad.
I penciled in Bernie. I'm telling the truth. I wasn't look. It is what it is.
So let me get my logic though, right? So Hillary focused on very progressive ideas and rhetoric, right? And she only really campaigned in very urban areas, California, New York, places like that. That's her mind state, right? Not ignoring. Well, she was ignoring every other place that if you've lived in the South, it exists. And being the fact that we're broken up by states, all states have a voice, right? That's just how it was. People hate the Electoral College, but it's 50 states and all of them got ideas. They all different. It is what it is. It's the whole concept of the country. Biden, though, he ain't really going too far to the left. He really got Kamala to do it. And really, Kamala ain't even progressive. She's not. She is moderate attorney. She makes white people, conservative, comfortable.
Oh my.
She makes them comfortable. She black, but she's an attorney. She's, she might have some progressive ideas, but, she's all right? And not only that, right? When you put it all in the context, he gets a lot of Republican endorsements. He a blue dog Democrat. He's not some hard progressive. He is a moderate, damn near Republican. That's what he is.
Speak. This is giving me so much life.
Going too far is because his goal is to get those Republicans working in Montana, in Missouri, in Michigan, and stuff like that, places like that, the suburban white that ain't liking Trump, but they ain't gonna vote for no Hillary. Maybe Obama if he come back, but not no Hillary.
So I
think it's and he didn't win by much in the first place.
All I'm gonna say is this: even though I would like to err on the side of advocacy, just to always bring in a little bit of lightness to a conversation. And I will say this is what I've observed from this particular situation. Honestly speaking, I think that the African American community would not have gotten this level of liberation under especially not under Hillary. It wouldn't have happened. It's in all actuality, we had to get to the root of what the real nastiness in America is. And that's that plain old racism. And it's throughout the world, exactly. If we would have had Hillary, she would have come in and she would have, talked about women's rights, and she would have, made sure that you know, the LGBTQ community had, you know, whatever it is that they needed so that they can feel like they were a part of America. But on the contrary, if you look at the root of it, especially in America, not to, you know, ostracize or to, you know, basically kick you out of the conversation, Tanya, but it's Tonya, right? Tanya?
Yeah.
I just want to make sure I'm saying your name correctly because I trip off Floressa. T, okay, T, I got you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got you, no problem. But, you know, like, not to kind of like, you know, X you guys out the conversation, but just to kind of make it a little bigger from what I'm seeing, is like, if we would have been under Hillary, we still would be under a thumb. It's like at this particular time, yes, at this particular time, it's being highly publicized exactly what we as Black people have experienced throughout, you know, for the last hundreds of years in America and throughout the world in general. You know, I honestly do believe, like, I've come across, you know, other Black people, other, you know, Africans in a sense. Like I said, you know, you guys know, I've told some people that, you know, my child's dad is Nigerian, you know, and so we've had this conversation as far as how we see each other across the diaspora, you know what I mean? And it's just like, we've always, well, I can say always, but whenever I come across other people, they usually always speak about African Americans as being lazy or being ghetto or, you know, being raunchy in the way that we doing things, having like this low level of thought process, you know, like I even know.
Sorry to cut you. Who is giving you that representation?
Oh no, I said I've spoken to other people throughout the diaspora. So when I'm saying this, I'm talking about I done got it out the cat's mouth. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not saying like I've got this information off of television. I mean, like, I've spoken to other.
I mean, are you talking about like other Black people have said that about African
Yes,
Americans?
yes. Oh, okay. So when I say throughout the diaspora, I mean that like other Black people. So okay, so in America, when we say Black, or especially in California and Oakland, when we say Black, we represent a particular code. You know what I mean? Like Black Panther had a particular code that we ran by. You know, you don't sell drugs to your brother. You don't give drugs to, you know, nobody that's in your space. You take care of the women and the children. We feed each other. We love each other. There was a code. So if you represented, you know, or if you identify with being Black, then that means you went along with that. A lot of people get the culture of Black, but the representation of nigga together, and it doesn't go together like that, right? So then when we go out into like the rest of the world, when you have Black, when they say Black, they mean anybody with this color. So that can be Caribbean, African, it can be you know, Jamaican, it can be like I said, you know, like Caribbean, I mean Trinidadian, yada yada. So with that being said, like when we're talking about Black, like when I say Black people, I want to basically give a definition so we can understand, you know, all on the same page of what we're talking about. When I say other Black people, I mean as far as the diaspora, world, global wise. You know what I mean? I've talked to Egyptians, even though their color isn't as dark as ours, they're still considered to be Black, and they, you know, and they've given that goodness. I can't believe
some of
you know,
them don't really consider.
Well, they
when you
don't.
talk about Egyptians, some of them a lot of them consider themselves Arab.
They do consider themselves Arab, but they consider themselves to be at the same way how he was talking about, you know, we have a lot of people who are Portugal and Angolan, you know, and they got that mixture, but they don't want to identify with Angola. They want to identify with Portugal. You know what I mean? Like at the end of the day,
you know,
you are who you are, regardless of what you want to say. You know what I mean? So
yeah, but I think they still identify as Black, like they're Portuguese Black people, you know.
Yeah.
Like they're Angolan people with civilized Portuguese, like, you know, like so they got that part about them already. I'm gonna let you finish first. First.
So the microaggressions are what is often magnified for me. Oh wow, you come from there. I didn't expect for you to speak like that. Oh
you
wow,
get a lot of that coming
you look
from
like that. I didn't expect for you to say that. Oh wow. You get what I'm saying to you? It's those microaggressions that will make you look at another Black person on the diaspora like, what are you talking about? Like, I look at you right now and I will honestly say I know you with the movement. Like, I can look at you from top to bottom from what I can see, and I know you with the movement. I see your nails. I know you with the movement. I see, you feel what I'm saying? I see the way you express yourself as a a professional in behavior, those are the type of things I just look at and I know, like, oh, okay, she with the movement. So she cool. I could deal with her. But I done come across some black, you know, on the diaspora that done called me a slave. Straight. I'm talking about dark-skinned black and called me a slave. And I had to say, a slave to what? Until it clicked and I was like, oh, you calling me a real slave. Oh, okay, I got you.
I mean,
you get what I'm saying? Or it'd be like, I mean, I was raised in a Christian home. You know, I didn't had Liberians. I'm from a Christian home. We don't behave like that. You're talking about how black kids can be a little bit more outlandish or outspoken. You get what I'm saying to you? So these things, they actually do exist. I'm not saying all the time it may just be from a lack of knowledge that we're all expressing this or we're all experiencing the same oppression. But I will say that, you know, to kind of get back to my original premise, is like globally, I do feel like the black skin is being liberated under this particular president that we have in America. So I do believe that it is a good thing. Like, we don't really always know how something will plan out, but I do think that it is a good thing that we did have this particular person in the White House, so that he will be able to express to the whole world that we are not exactly what we are not what the picture has been painted of us, and we actually are experiencing oppression, and we actually are, you know, experiencing depression, and we are experiencing a lot of these negative disparities that are really the total opposite of anything that they've ever said.
And I think that came from that Obama, just the fact that I think Obama bought it all out, right? Because at the point that you got a black president, you know, he coming through, hey, what's up, baby? You know, handshake.
Green.
He was, you know, he invited, you know, you see him pooping, he out here inviting people to the White House. You know, he black. You know what I'm saying?
I love it.
Mannerisms, the swag, he black. And I mean, just think of it in the mind of somebody that's racist. That's a problem.
It might be a bit of a controversial question. So if he wasn't doing all of that, would you? This is just me asking. I'm not even agreeing or disagreeing with what you're saying. But would you say that if someone wasn't doing all of that, like, yeah, come to the White House, come do this and that, are they now less black for doing that? Like,
and I ain't gonna lie, in American culture, maybe.
You know what? Actually, I'm happy you all said that, because that is like
in America we have been.
I do want to know about.
It's a thing. It's a thing. I mean, right now, people questioning Kamala Harris' blackness.
Oh, yeah. I mean, because look, I'm in the town. You already know.
Yeah.
We love,
right.
okay.
I mean, well, can I ask you a question about that in terms of UK? I mean, so, like, I think that whole video came from, like, you know, how we in America reacted to Adele doing that thing, I think it was Carnival over there or something similar to it.
No, in Hill.
Oh, it's my Carnival.
No,
yeah. My bad.
And she had the Bantu knots in her head.
Right.
And,
and so from what I saw from a lot of comments, it's like, you know, us in America, Black Americans, we were all up in arms about it, but people who are actually from there and overseas, they were like, why are y'all so upset? And, you know, they just called us, basically told us shut the fuck up. So like how often, I mean, do we just overreact to stuff or just not understand it?
Or do y'all feel like we do?
Okay, so in terms of that, like, a lot of the things I could say that I agree with people. First and foremost, I might have been born and raised in Britain, but I 100% identify as Caribbean. I'm Jamaican at heart, you know.
All right. Tell us something, girl.
Like, my mom and dad are Jamaican. My dad was born in Jamaica. My mom was over here, so technically I'm second generation, but I'm Caribbean. Now, I don't know about the Caribbean culture in America, but the Caribbean culture in London, I can't really talk, maybe London, Birmingham again, but mainly London is massive. Like, I don't know if you've ever heard about the Windrush generation, when like all the people came from the Caribbean to help fight out in the war and rebuild the country.
Right, and so you might need to bring that up because you told me about it, but I've never heard of that ever.
See, that's mad. Like, well, it's not mad, but it's mad to me because, like, all these things that you're saying that you're surprised of, I'm surprised of, because this was a massive part of.
We know nothing about y'all culture at all.
See, this is what
just
look,
being honest.
If I didn't get with one, I wouldn't know either. It is what, and my little sister, my little sister is Jamaican. You know, her dad is from Jamaica also. So I think that this will be good information that I can even go back to give to her.
You might want to write this down, Flo, too.
You're right. I'm about to look. How did you know I had a pat in the pen?
Because I know you.
So I'm gonna get into the Windrush thing in a bit, but something about like Notting Hill Carnival briefly. I think it came about 50, 60 years ago. It was to celebrate Caribbean culture in the UK, in London, basically, because after like the 50s, Caribbean people were everywhere. Like they were brought over to work and stuff like that. They were brought over to like help in the war. They were brought over to help rebuild Britain, mainly London. And the Windrush scandal that's been happening recently is that they're trying to deport people back to Jamaica, even people that weren't born there or came over here as a little child, because they're saying that, well, you don't belong in this country. We don't have your papers. We don't have any.
So that's what that is. Oh,
yeah.
wow.
Yeah,
it's called Windrush, right?
Windrush, yeah. Google it. I definitely advise you to Google it. Like, write down Windrush. Yeah.
Yeah, because I saw that going on over there. Like, I mean, yeah. I don't mean to cut you off. I'm sorry.
No, it's all right. That's basically like my dad being told, my dad hasn't lived there since he was whatever age, telling him to go back. They're gonna give him like £1,500 to rebuild your life in Jamaica, but you don't know anybody there. You ain't been there in so long, and that's what they're trying to send them off to do. Because it's like, well, we don't belong here. We ain't got your papers, and they were meant to be sorted. Like they helped to rebuild Britain after all of this rubbish. But anyway, Notting Hill Carnival was a celebration of Caribbean culture in London, because after a while it was a massive. And like I was saying to Quentin quite briefly in one of the chats that we had, like Black people, just like in most parts of the world, like we haven't been working obviously due to COVID. Well, I'm a bar manager usually, so I work in a club. That club is closed at the moment, but they open it up to do a private screening for like a French film. But it's a French film based on like Black people from the hood, and like police, the way how the police deal with them there. And I've been to other places around Europe, and I could definitely say that the treatment of those people are mad. Like now, in this day and age now, like it's next to nothing. But I'm gonna get onto that in a bit later.
Yeah, Spain racist as hell.
Yeah, so even in like that kind of sentence or whatever, like Black people over here, when they came over, like my dad's told me stories, my brothers told me stories, like Black people nearly everywhere, unless you're in a Black country, you're looked as a criminal straight away. You're criminalized straight away. That is that stereotype of you. Like you don't work, you just smoke weed. Like with the Jamaicans as well, so there was a lot of them with like dreadlocks and stuff like that. Even in Jamaica alone, Rastas weren't looked on as a good thing. They were looked at the side of like politics, and you were looked down upon. So over here, to have that Caribbean culture celebration, that was good. Like Notting Hill Carnival, obviously over the years that's become like a massive thing. Like I am truly upset that COVID is around, that we didn't get to have it, because I was trying to be in the bands and everything this year. And so going back to the whole Adele thing now, Adele comes from an area in London called Tottenham. Yeah, that's North London. Tottenham, Edmonton, other places like that around London are they have a strong Caribbean culture in these areas alone. Do you get what I mean? Like she probably went
so you saying that it's okay for her because she comes from the place where all the Jamaicans came to be at, like in a sense. That's
so
what
Adele from the hood.
From that place. So she's from the hood. Yeah, like she was with the movement.
If you ever see the way how she talks and she carries on,
we thought that she was just
she's not cultural appropriating.
Yeah, that's what we thought. Because when I first heard her, I'm like, she sound real Black.
We got it. We got it.
Like this is what we were trying to explain. Like for one, you're not even like she, like with all these projects, anything that happens, she comes from a predominantly Black area or Caribbean area. Yeah, that's one thing. She born and raised there. Majority of her friends are that. She never appropriated in her life. Do you get what I mean? Like anything that happens with us, she stands by us, kind of thing. Do you get what I mean? This is Notting Hill Carnival.
Yeah, we got you. We got you.
You know, like Notting Hill Carnival brings around like 3 million people worldwide in this one area. Do you think it's just her that's wearing costumes and stuff like that?
You would think so.
Like it's everybody. Like majority is still Caribbean, but you've got like it's a Caribbean thing. But am I now going to look at an African person to say that you shouldn't be partying and wearing carnival costume because it's carnival? No, you're here to celebrate with us. When you've got white people, Indian people, Asian people up in their costumes, am I going to look at you and be like, nah, you shouldn't be wearing that because it's appropriate? No, it's a celebration. Like as Caribbean people, we welcome that as well. Not all the time. because we know not all the time it's genuine, but for something like that, it was on Carnival. I'm like, bro, she comes from that kind of area. She's probably got a whole load of black friends, Caribbean friends. How do you know that they never did her hair for her? For, oh, let me dress you up. Let me dress you up. Like it's Carnival. Like, let me dress you up as a sign of appreciation. And she posted that. And as a Caribbean person who knows what Notting Hill Carnival is like, we're looking like, rah, like, why are all these people suddenly like getting onto her? There's a difference between appropriation and appreciation. And her one was appreciation. I know for a fact she never did her hair herself. She probably even never dressed her hair herself. And I'm pretty sure her friends around her were like, hey, you know, all of that when they probably dress her up like that because it's a sign of that. So to see her being judged for it, I'm like, whoa, like,
okay.
This is something that says,
oh, my apologies.
No,
I would love to give like a quick little I guess explanation as to why, you know, because in America, that would have been cultural appropriation. You know what I'm saying? Like we experience culture vultures so immensely in America that when we see anyone who doesn't share our skin or doesn't share the swag of being black, or as if they come from a particular, you know,
I mean,
or
even the swag, because you know,
if you don't even show the, you get like,
because Kim
like,
K and them, they act black,
you're right.
But
we are so like on edge about anyone who like tries to appropriate us, because it's been stripped so intensely from us in America that I think we're just already like, what's that word? Paranoid.
See, the thing is now, that's why, like, I don't, maybe again, like, I know that the communities and like I said, like, again, like London is a very much, like, I know, like in America, you have your Hispanics, you have your Chinese people, you have your, what is it, the other ones.
I mean, we got everything, depending on where you at. I mean, it's over 250 languages speaking in Oakland.
But I think that the way in London, because we're so much smaller as well, like in London, it's very close knitted. So for example, we know
we separated.
We know exactly, but we're not like, we got the different groups over here. But again, I'm just talking about in London, because when you go out of London, it's very different. Yeah, but in London, it's very like, we have our communities. Like, you have the Somalis, you have the Turkish, you have the Eastern European, Polish people, you have the French people, you have all of that. Then you have the black people, you have in the black people, you still have the Caribbean and the African. Sometimes they're separate, sometimes they're together. You know, like, it's all of that kind of stuff. But when it comes to cultural appropriation, like, we can see what cultural appropriation is. You get what I mean? Like, you mentioned Kim Kardashian. She is cultural appropriate. She ain't never come from these places to be doing them kind of hairstyles and doing all that kind of stuff. And she does it now because it's a
fad.
Yeah, that's the word. Like, she's doing it because of that. Her one is different. Adele never came from some rich family, from all of these kind of things. She lived in the blocks just like everybody else in Tottenham. Do you get what I mean? Like, I
get it.
States, like, she lived a different life to probably I'm trying to think of like some other British pop. I don't really listen to like singing pop music like that in British music, but who else is big from England?
I think that might be the only person that we
know. Georgia Smith. What about Georgia Smith? Is that how you say her name?
Georgia Smith she's from
South
London.
You know who it is. Don't try to act like you don't know, Darius. You know.
Sam Smith. What about Sam Smith?
Come on, Darius. You know, you can tell us.
Okay, so Sam Smith.
Yeah, I know Sam Smith.
Georgia Smith is I'm pretty sure she's from South London. So when you ever hear about London, you hear, well, South London is probably the worst one. It's the roughest part. Like, you've got good parts, it's very gentrified now, but when it's like a London joke, but you have South London, everyone always associates everything back to South London, but I love South London. Then you got North London, which is like, South London split up, like, now it's a lot more white people, and depending on where on South as well. South East London is like mainly Caribbeans and Africans, and then a few others, yeah, and then white people. Southwest is a bit more white, unless it's like Brixton and stuff like that. I don't know if you've ever heard of those places.
I've heard of Brixton.
Then you have, everyone always hears about Brixton.
I heard of Brixton.
So Brixton is South London. Like, Brixton had a very strong African and Caribbean, but mainly Caribbean community as well. Then you go to North London, you've got them kind of places as well. Northwest London holds a very like Caribbean influence as well. East London is a bit of everything, like their Cockney, all those places what you probably hear, like, all right, love, like, mate, that's where you probably hear your
Oh, okay, okay. I thought that was everywhere.
No, it's not everywhere. It's not everywhere. And then you have West London, which is still like like Notting Hill is in West London. Like Ladbroke Grove, that's where Notting Hill Carnival is held. Like that's still very strong. So you got all these different places. Someone like Georgia Smith, I think she's from South London, so she's still with it. Do you get what I mean? Like what you were saying.
Where's Joss Stone from?
Who?
Yeah.
Joss Stone.
Joss Stone. I'm not quite sure. But I'll look it up for you. I'll look it up for you right now. But someone like Sam
I
Smith,
love her.
so just say Sam Smith. Like he's not from these places. I don't even know if he's from London. He might be from London.
Soulful ass.
But he's not. From, but he's not from the end. So just say he came out now, like one day, like coming out wearing like I don't know what's the equivalent of what Adele did, for a guy.
If he came out with a lineup with a fade,
with like a do-rag on and everything like that, then yeah, maybe then people would be like, what are you doing? Do you know what I mean? But someone like Adele, from where she comes from, and we know her culturally as well as where she's from, because we know the ends, like we call it ends, we know the ends. Like we know where she's from, we know what she's about, we know what she's doing. So really, something like that, if we saw her up in Carnival, people will be wanting to take pictures of her, like, yo, what are you saying? And it's not mainly white people that's gonna want to take pictures of her, it's black people, because we're like, especially as someone that's a Caribbean as well, I'm a Jamaican, and be like, yeah, is that you? Yeah, like, you know, something to like gas her up kind of thing. Like it's.
But you know what? I still feel like we different though, because I feel like even if I'm trying to think about somebody white equivalent over here in America, like even if Eminem tried to do certain shit in Detroit, I feel like we'll still look at him sideways.
You're right.
I mean, because like
we probably wouldn't accept it.
Yeah, I can't think of anyone who can just
it's
get
no
past. Like I mean, yeah, like if Eminem ever said nigga, like he over with. Like I mean, let's just be honest.
But even Eminem rapping to begin with, people still looked at Eminem like, what are you doing? At first, you know,
right.
They're thinking like, this is a white boy that's rapping. Like, where you going? Like,
and he from a very, very low income area.
You know
yeah, but it doesn't matter. Like, but
yeah.
For us, I ain't gonna say for us. I'm gonna say in general. Like, it just brother. It really doesn't matter when you're dealing in America and you're dealing. It's always gonna go back to black and white. We don't give a crap where you from.
100%.
We don't care. We're always gonna look at you, and it's always gonna be black and white. And then you're gonna have to be vetted. And then when you are vetted, it's still gonna be, well, you know, you got the ability to walk through a door that I can't, so you still ain't on the same level.
But not all of them turn up. I think what needs to be understood is that not all of them turn a blind eye to that situation.
Well, we don't really care about who turns a blind eye to it. It's about the ones who got the power too, though. You get what I'm saying? Like, you gotta understand. Like in America, I mean, I'll say this and then I'll kind of back off of it, because this is like one of them topics that I'm like really aggressive about. And I gotta be honest. Now it's past passion. And I gotta be honest, you know, because with these particular situations, in America, I'll say America in general, you know, the oppression is real, but it's on another level here, you know. Like it's like we still have those images that are still, you know, available. So when we see, you know, anybody who looks like them, it's the symbolism. You know what I mean? It's not so much of the fact that they are who they are, and that not all, you know, white people are bad. Like, I'll go back to that. The way I gauge that is the same way Muhammad Ali gauges it. And he's like, look, honestly, if I got 1,000 snakes coming at me, am I going to stop and try to point out the only 10 that's not venomous? Or am I going to just slam the door and don't let none of them get in? And with that being said, that's just the way I look at it. I was watching CNN the other day, and one of Trump's cousins was on there, and she was, you know, talking about how her whole family told her, if you say anything about him, we going to just lie, and we going to say that you lying, and we going to say you crazy, and we going to just ostracize you. Now, do I go over and become really nice and fun and keep on hanging with the black people? Or do I just shut my mouth and let whatever happens to them, because I still need to be connected to my family? That matters. You get what I'm saying? So
if you can talk out, like, you could, like, I get what you mean. And I feel like if like you don't want to completely shut the door, because if you're really against your family, then you need to talk about it, kind of thing. And like what I said, someone like Adele, don't get me wrong, we go through like the same oppressions, the same struggles that happen. Maybe again, like I said to Quinton when we were having a separate conversation, America is on a way bigger scale than the UK is. And
yeah, did y'all have like a Jim Crow? Like, was it like legal for you know, like white people to like just hang you guys in the street?
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, we never had that. We never had like.
Oh, okay.
But we still had like black people getting beaten up in the street. Like black people.
They were getting like tarred and feathered. Like they would throw tar on them and then throw feathers.
Not on that level. But this is what I'm saying. Like, we understand it. Like, we understand it. And this is why I said that technically, in terms of like that kind of side of the things, America is still very up there. Like, you can't see my hand, but it's very up there when it comes to those side of things.
To how egregious they were with the way they treated the black skin.
But then like, and I think that is disgusting, like the Jim Crow things. But then over here, like, we had legislations where it would be like I said, America is a UK amplified. So what the UK did, America did it 10 times the same amount. Do you get what I mean? So this is why you had people had it had like people lynchings. They could never do what I can't say they could never, because the way how they still killed black people and murdered them, they stopped them in the street, you throw them in prison, you beat them up, you do whatever. That stuff was still that stuff is still happening today.
Right. You saw George Floyd's whole neck got broke with a knee by the white man. So with that being said, could you like understand psychologically
what she's saying,
how black people look at it like
there? So that the police brutality, those kind of things go on there, even though they didn't have that institutional thing, how we got it written into law.
Racism as well. When they told us that no blacks, no Irish, no dogs, and no blacks can eat inside cafes and stuff and food and places over here, that was still happening up until the same time that certain things started to get passed for integration ways in America. You know, they were telling black people that you can't drink from this tap, just like in America. You can't eat in this food place. You can't do any of these kind of things. They're seeing you. They're beating you up in the street. They're arresting you for no reason. They're incarcerating you for the exact same reasons. They're criminalizing you. They're giving you reasons why, oh, you ain't done nothing, but really and truly you're black. Right now, we've had a thing come out like 2 days ago about the rise of stop and searches again, of these kind of things that are happening. Like, just like in America, they target you. Over here, they're pulling black people over, and especially black guys, if they see you in a nice car, they see you with whatever, just like in America, we're stopping you. Why are you stopping me for? Because there's been a drug-related crime in the area, or there's been something to do with drugs and stuff in the area, and they're pulling people out their car. You're trying to arrest them. You're trying to do everything. Like, it's not just there. Like, I think the thing that I'm trying to express is that even though America's on a wider scale, and sometimes it's on an even more extreme scale, it doesn't take away from the fact that there's actually a lot of shit, that happens here as well, you know? Like, we've had a lot of things. Like, if you, like you said that you got your pen and paper out, look up Stephen Lawrence. Look up Mark Duggan. Mark Duggan. I don't even know if you heard of the 2011 riots in that happened in the UK. The UK riots in Tottenham again. A black boy, a black guy, got stopped over by police in the back of his cab and they shot him point blank in Tottenham. Yeah. Now, this isn't the first time that it's happened. Obviously, there's been way more, but this one, I think it's a new kind of day and age, a new kind of generation. They were like, wait, we ain't having this. Like, we've had riots back in the past. Especially if you look at Stephen Lawrence and prior to Stephen Lawrence, the amount of things that happened to do with like black people and police brutality. Let's not even touch on the systematic racism yet. This is just a full-on racism. Yeah, Mark Duggan got killed. Them riots went on. It started off in Tottenham as a peaceful protest, like it always does. Police didn't like that. It went on to being. It started off as the Tottenham riots after that. Then it went on to the North London riots because it happened around that area. Then other areas saw of the way how the police were dealing with things, and they were like, okay, no. It went on to the London riots because it wasn't just happening in one part anymore. The riots happened everywhere. There was looting, there was fire, there was everything that you can imagine. Yeah. Then it went out of London and it went into Birmingham. It went into Manchester. So it became the Midland riots. Then other people were like, we ain't having this crap either. So it went on to the UK riots. And this was 2011. That was probably one of, not our biggest, but for our generation, for my generation, that was something that was huge. Oh, now nothing's been solved. Just like in America, these police officers, nothing's happened to them. Same way how over here, nothing has happened to them either. Like we got another boy that got killed, like, no, he wasn't killed, but he's in a vegetative state now. He can't do anything just because he got pulled over, beaten up again, kind of thing. Like this stuff is normal things. Like this is just like how it's normal and you guys are used to it. This is normal things over here as well. Like, and
I don't think we'll ever be used to it, but it is something that has a certain level of normality. Now, with all those things being said, that's what I'm saying. I don't think we should always get. I just don't feel like we should get caught up in that argument of not all of them are bad. Like, I don't really care if all of them are bad or not. You know, like at the end of the day, like if you're not bad, you connect yourself to somebody who done did me bad. And until I see something different, that's the only thing that I'm looking for. That's what I'm looking for. Other than that, I'm not really sure what to say.
Go ahead, Darius.
You know, hearing you
got
all
it, Darius.
Stuff like it puts me in a position where I think about, you know, the foundations of America and the UK, you know, from an environmental standpoint and from I guess a mental and cultural standpoint, this country was built on lead, asbestos, slavery, and genocide, both countries, right? And all four of those things deadly, cause cancer, all this other good stuff, not great. So I just feel like, given the fact that the foundation is just so rotten, and everything else that's happened to our people on top of that. Not to say I'm against what we just talked about earlier, because I'm trying to be careful about that because I don't want to sway anybody in different ways. It's kind of like, I just don't expect that people who are in one way or the other, no matter where you're at, a part of the problem to be a part of a good solution, if that makes sense. I mean, because it's just so much stuff, you know, we really start doing your research in America and around the world, it all goes back to the same source. I mean, it's the same families, it's the same money.
The same thing.
Follow it. I mean, like cash is king. I mean, so it's kind of like I'm one of the people like who is kind of more so in tune with, you know, how can I educate my people to survive in this world that, you know, it's kind of like the Matrix, you know, it's kind of like that, you know, like the odds of actually going against it are so great that you have to kind of find a way to survive inside of it and to increase your strength until you can do something about it. Yeah. And I feel like that's where we're at right now. I feel like we're trying to start the revolution 10 years before we're ready, you know, and that's kind of where I'm at with the
whole. How do you say before we're ready?
I mean, because I feel like, number one, nobody has life insurance, and that's very important. And, you know, what I'm saying about that, because, you know, I feel like life insurance, you know, housing, the GI Bill, that's like another part nobody talks about. Everyone talks about the GI Bill, the housing bills, but nobody talks about life insurance, because you know what? They always have life insurance. So, you know, whenever somebody dies in their family, there is a $200,000 check cut out most likely. And, you know, that's per person. It could be greater than that. So when you have that going on, that means everyone has a will. So when all your kids are getting $50,000, that means they can go put that down in a house or, you know, buy stocks, wherever like that. That's why they always have, you know, $30,000 in 6 bank accounts, because they always have trust and, you know, wills, and that comes from life insurance, and it's so cheap. But the majority of Black Americans don't have it, and that's been so huge. I mean, think about, you know, if everyone in your family, you know, when somebody passed away, if there was a check cut, you know, 6 figures, they went out to your family and it was already prearranged. You know, so that way their funeral was taken care of.
You're so correct. You are not lying.
That would have changed everything. You can't tell me that would have changed things for our people in this country.
Yeah. I've even heard it. Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm just being overzealous. My apologies. No, but I'm just saying, I just want to agree with you so intensely. I just want to agree with you because that's what I've been learning also. They're like, do you know that literally if all Black people or majority of Black people had life insurance, that when they killed us, the way that they do kill us, that the life insurance companies would come and sue the state saying, you know, we got to pay too much money out because y'all keep on killing this particular population. And that is a crime against us. So even having that backing us is something that's collateral.
Because it would affect the economy.
You just said something really big.
And when you talking about racism, right? In the end of the day, racism is economics, right? Yeah. The reason that they went to go take people, to take slaves, they didn't care about the social aspects of it. They didn't give a shit. They just wanted the money. If you could get these people to work for free, then you good. Why do you want the natives?
But
You
it's
want
so
them to
much
die.
deeper in that too. I mean, you gotta think about it. These people thought they were gods too. I mean, they had technology they had never seen, they had skin tone they had never seen, and they knew that and they took advantage of it also. So not only were they trying to be worshipped. Remember that book Heart of Darkness? You know,
I'm gonna write it down.
Yeah, like
what's it called again?
Got lost in the jungle and like he had people worshiping him in the jungle, is like in the Congo, wherever like that, and like he had never seen a white person
in the movie El Dorado, the Disney movie.
Well, basically, yeah, same concept. I mean, if you come through with armor and guns and stuff like that, you can just, pop somebody and kill them, and you ain't never seen it before. Any other time, you gotta get an arrow, make it, load the thing up, aim it, know how to shoot an arrow, stuff like that. Then this dude come in, you shoot an arrow at him and bounce off your armor plate. They don't know what that is. You got steel, you got bullets, you can make fire with liars, stuff like that. You came through in a steel-clad ship. I mean, they would think you were a god, and they took advantage of that.
Basically. I don't know. I feel like as a collective, like I'm trying to think of how to put this into words properly.
Did I mess y'all up with that?
Nah.
Use your words. Why?
You already know me. Darius and Flo have already been on podcasts with me. Okay. I'm just letting it go. And Tanya, I hope that you do more with me. You know what I'm saying?
I'm down.
I do this. My Facebook is full of conversations just like this, all in the comments.
Yeah.
That's what I do. So
I'm down for it, because do you know why I'm saying that I'm down for it as well? Because from the stuff, like, I feel like as a I know that one of the topics that you wanted to touch on was like representations in like media and stuff like that. I feel like from like the Black American side of things, we see a lot of your representation all the time. That's like mainstream of our music and movies and TV and everything else. Whereas I feel like Black British culture isn't as represented in America. So I feel like to know the way how you guys feel about us, and to know how I feel about you, and to hear about our ways in Britain and the way how things are over here, just like to hear how things are in America. I think more of these conversations are needed, because it kind of shows the equality in a way, like the unity, but then also how culturally different it is, even though we're all Black, if that makes sense. Like I don't know, I think it's important, because it's good to know how things are elsewhere in other countries. Like I worked on a project a couple of years ago. It was like a student project, and we visited certain places in Europe, and we took mainly Black students, because we were like, it's good for you guys to travel and see certain places. And when we went to one of their places, it was a small town in Italy, the only Black people that I saw there were homeless, like they were mainly immigrants, like what they would call immigrants. They were mainly there. They were on the market stalls selling fake goods, and the way how they were looked upon was mental. Over here, for example, in London, we ain't got that. Like in America, you have strong Black communities. So even though amongst all of that, you ain't got that either. Like you still have the homeless. You still have.
We got huge homeless problems here.
No, but so do we. But like what I'm saying, over there, like for example, we're all sitting in houses right now. Do you get what I mean? In that place in Italy, the only Black people that were there that I saw were all homeless. Like it's on a different scale. Like the way how they still look at them. Like don't get me wrong, we can still have like we should talk on systematic racism another time as well. But like systematically, we all have it. Like you have it over there, we have it over here as well. But over there, they got it. Like they're actually like, we know that in our communities, as much as people want to call us slaves, we know that we're still right and strong. Over there, they're literally being deemed as someone this big. Like, and don't get me wrong, other people look at that, but we have stronger communities around us to lift each other up. Over there, it's not the same way, like it's.
I mean, to put a number to it, like in Germany, Germany only has 800,000 Black people, or people of like, African descent in the whole country, 800,000. And by comparison, the UK.
Wait, what's they whole number in general? If it's only 800,000, what's their number? What's their population?
I think like 50, 60 million, I think.
Yeah, it's mad. It's mad. It is mad, like
that is crazy though.
It is mad.
No.
Yeah, I think UK only has 2 million.
So talking about Germany again. So like again, Quinton, we were talking about something else in that past chat. I feel like we spoke about so much in that chat that we had on Instagram. And what's it called? In that chat, you were talking about how you still got some Confederate statues, you still got all them kind of things.
And the idea of Confederalism.
We have loads of them, loads of like they're seen as like war heroes, and they're seen as heroes of British culture. This is why we ain't accepting no place of British culture in our lives whatsoever. You ask me where I'm from, I'm not saying I'm from Britain, I'm saying that I'm from Jamaica. Like, I'm Jamaican, or like whatever. I'm not saying that I'm British, because they don't claim us, we don't claim them, kind of thing. Yeah. So over here, we still have statues of all those people, all those Confederate people, all those actual slave owners, even though they had other occupations as well. That's why their statues are there. And in Bristol, during our Black Lives Matter protest that happened after George Floyd, over here, in Bristol, I don't know if you've heard of Bristol. It's out of London. It's another city in the UK. There was a statue of King Leopold the Sutton and another from Germany. Yeah, a horrible, horrible, horrible man. These people put ropes around that statue. They pulled down that statue in forces. Like, I don't know how many people it took to take down that statue. They pulled it down and they pushed it in the river. And that's what they were trying to do with loads of statues that they've really tried to fight and ways how to get it down. Like, I'm pretty sure I read of something in America, I don't know if it actually happened, but of J. Edgar Hoover, because that guy, I learned about that guy, and that guy is a disgusting man. You know, the head of the FBI. Like, I've heard about that, and to know that he's got a building named after him and to have statues all over the place makes me feel sick. You know,
yeah. Like, but in the end of the day, when you talk about power structure, right? While Black people have a lot of influence everywhere. To be honest, Black people, especially in America, we are able, and we don't realize it, but we put a lot of music, a lot of movies, a lot of media out into the world all the time. We go, our artists go on world tours all the time, right? So we have a lot of influence about what we do. But here, as far as power structure, as far as politically, financially, stuff like that, we just really scratching the surface now of how to make an impact, right? Now people in government are starting to care about our opinions and stuff like that, because now we got people with money that are funding campaigns. We got more, political parties and stuff like that. We starting to really now scratch the surface of power in its traditional state.
You know what I think it is as well? I think it's partly to do with that, but I think also social media is a term where everybody and anybody can talk.
Social media is big too.
And social media has definitely played a massive part. Like, I don't know if you'll agree with me on this, but when I saw that they put the big Black Lives Matter in yellow writing leading up to the warehouse, I thought that was rubbish. Because I'm like, what is that actually doing to help the people? And I feel like now a lot of companies and a lot of places, I don't want people to be fooled by the fact that they're doing it now because it's a trend. If you're gonna do it genuinely.
It's marketing, basically.
Huh?
It's basically marketing these days. And, there is one question I do have, because, compared to the NAACP, which is kind of took the lead back in the 50s and 60s, the rights movement, that was an actual physical place. They had an office, they had people on staff, they actually had a workforce there. Black Lives Matter was born from the internet and it lives on the internet. So, when I hear about all this money going to Black Lives Matter, I ask,
where is it going? Because
my
organization that I work for can't even get a piece of that money, and we do fair housing type stuff focused on Black people and minorities. I don't know where to get the money that they got.
With the amount of money they have gotten, they actually could have cut a reparations check to every Black person in America. I just want to put that in context.
This is the thing. This is the thing, and this is why I'm so happy. Like, I wasn't sure. Like, I wanted to bring that up, but I wasn't sure how you guys would feel about that either, because I know how I stand. Like, Black Lives Matter as a statement, I'm here for it 100%. But Black Lives Matter, the movement, I haven't been with it from the time that it started. It doesn't sit right with me. I don't like it. The people who actually fund it and guide it and all that kind of stuff, like the main funders from it, it feels very corrupted in a way. As you said, marketing, that's literally what it feels like. It's a thing now where everyone's talking about it, so everybody jumps on it. Even brands, we've been wanting representation in media, in films, on TV. As you said, we've got our strong community when it comes to music and stuff already. but in the actual things like, okay, music matters and stuff like that, but in actual things on a higher scale, we've been wanting that equality for so long. And why is it only now that this is happening that they want to start bringing out new things again? Like, I don't know if you've heard of John Boyega. Well, you must have. John Boyega. He was in a Star Wars movie.
Oh
John,
yeah,
you
yeah,
know
yeah, yeah,
John
yeah, yeah,
Boyega.
yeah,
We
yeah,
say
yeah.
Boyega, but
Yeah.
she said it with a C. We know who you talk about. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay, so him, like, he's from South London as well. He's from Peckham in London, and Nigerian boy. Like, he will class himself as Nigerian British, I guess you could say, but Nigerian boy from South London, and like, he recently done a campaign with Joe Malone, which I think is a perfume company, and he just pulled out. I even saw it today, actually. He's pulled out from the campaign because he did one for the rest of the world.
Yeah, he black. Like,
Yeah.
he black.
He black.
He with the movement black. Ain't never
And I
got a question
respect
this
it too,
hard.
No,
because
of
He
not
course
even
it
black.
is.
just that, his role in Star Wars was big for black kids, bro.
Of
Oh
course it was.
yeah.
Like just like Chadwick's was, like, obviously Black Panther played a higher role in all of that, and it had a way bigger representation. But John Boyega in himself, like, that was it. But he just done a campaign. He wrote it. He wrote the advert. He directed all of it, and basically they done a Chinese version where they took him out and they put a Chinese man in, and he was like, hold on, he was meant to be he's the first male ambassador for this company, black male at that, black person at that, and he took himself out of it today. He said, I'm not being an ambassador for your company anymore because you've just switched me around for some Chinese guy to appeal to the Chinese public, when
Yeah, but a lot of them are, I mean, especially in their country, are very racist.
Yeah.
And you want to know what though? I read a study one day. Do you guys know that they literally there is a biologist. I want to call him a biologist. I'll just say he's a professional. You know what I mean? But literally, he's coming out of Europe, and and he's basically saying that as far as like genetics, there's a hierarchy when it comes to genetics. And obviously, those who are of more darker descent genetically are inferior. So that will make us more intellectually inferior. Also, you know what I mean?
I feel like all that stuff right there is just like.
They've been trying to run that narrative for like the last 500 years.
Yeah, and it's so interesting. Like, they're trying so hard, right? So then it was so funny because, like, I'm reading, and then it gets down to it, and they even break off to the subsets of our Asian brothers and sisters also. And when it gets to them, they just say, oh, well, we actually took data from them over at Cal Berkeley. And what we've come to understand is that because more of them get into self-help groups, that's what makes them more successful when it comes to education, right? So it's just basically saying that they get together and they study very, very, very hard. And because they study so hard, that is why they're deemed to be on a certain level of intelligence. Not the fact that they're just smart.
These Asian countries got so much poverty and genocide, bro, it don't make no sense.
I'm with you. It just be like.
But in the education system, like, we also, like, this is why I don't listen to any of the statistics that they say, because it's only based on the Western world, and it's only based on like let's look again, like I said, Americanization in itself is its own culture. It's its own, like, it's got its own sense of culture. It's got like, that's capitalism. When I think of capitalism, I think of America. Like, all those kind of things there. Now, I'm going to relate the same back to like England as well, certain other places. That educational system is different. It's for them people. It ain't for us. When you go to these other places, they're going to look at you and be like, oh, you're not as educated enough, but I've got more life skills than you already. But anyways, yeah, and I'm not, and you're not as civilized enough because you don't sit in the classroom and do your fola sardi, whatever the words are, whatever in French. Like, we don't do them kind of things, and people learn in different ways. But this is another problem about white people and about like, these people who try to put a stamp on the whole world, yeah, saying that people only live one kind of way because they don't know how anybody else lives. And the way how anybody else lives, that means that you're uncivilized, or you don't know what's going on, because it doesn't abide to them. It's different to them. And this is why even that study that you just said, that kind of stuff gets on my nerves, because I'm like, not everyone is the same. Not everyone runs the same. Not everyone that has the means or money for schools. Like I went to Dominican Republic the end of last year, and I was talking to one guy. Like I went on a walk basically. And when I go to places, like I don't just like to do the tourist things. I like to get involved, if that makes sense. So I went there and I was talking to one guy, and he was like, the village, the town village thing that they got, probably like 10,000 people. You got 2 schools for that many people. Yeah, you got to pay for that as well. So you got, and the thing is, they split it up into morning classes and evening classes. I said, not everyone can afford that. Does that mean now that they're less civilized than the next person that's coming from America, or that's coming from Britain or Spain or whatever? No, like it just annoys me, that kind of narrative, because I'm like, the way how these people have gone, it's all about power as well. Like they put something on and they say that if you can't abide to them, oh, you're not smart, you're not with the rest of the world. Them completely turning a blind eye to the fact that there's many other different ways of living and doing things, not just that way in person, you know?
Yeah, and
And
we on
that's
a
why
10-minute warning, by the way, too.
Huh?
We on a 10-minute warning because I got a meeting at 2.
Okay, cool.
Understand. Look, because
Yeah.
I totally agree. My bad, dears. You speak, because I'm very I'm long winded.
Yeah, it won't take long to say what I have to say anyway. I mean, I just think, like that study you just talked about, I think that so much of what we see today is just put out there for manipulation. And then, like, one thing I've learned from working for the government, too, is like when the news talks about, oh, an expert said this, I mean, so many people get paid just to say stuff for the sake of shock value. I mean,
Their morality is dead.
Russia is the perfect example of that. I mean, they took down our country and have made it its weakest point with social media posts. Think about that, with Facebook posts and Twitter posts. They have literally brought America to its knees, to the point where it's about to break down the Civil War through social media posts.
Yeah,
and
that is true though.
Yeah,
like nobody understands. Believe half of what you see, none of what you hear no more. It's just whatever it says, you just take it and you roll
social
with
media,
it.
just take it with you.
Right, exactly.
Have
I mean,
mercy.
it's just like you can literally, like, I mean, it's very easy to make data say what you want to say. I mean, but when you think about it, I mean, how the fuck do you even rank DNA? Like, honestly, so it's like so much stuff is like, just put there for manipulation.
I'm about to say, because if I know it to be correct, if we're going down the color, especially in the United States, as far as inventions, I would say that we may just be in the top 90 percentile of the ones who created everything. But
and not only just that, and I'm sorry, Darius, I'm gonna let you go. But not only just that, and me working in economic development and stuff like that, and understanding how that stuff works, bruh. If you come up with an idea, and I copyright it first and patent it first, I came up with it, not you.
Mm-hmm.
So the fact that Nerf gun just had to pay him off how many millions for that gun? Nerf gun went and patent that Nerf gun when that black man created it. He then came back and sued them for millions.
But the thing about it is, it don't usually work like that.
It don't.
You got to know some people. You got to know some things to be able to really go back and do that. Because once the patent is done, once the stuff is copyrighted, all that good stuff, bro, be able to prove that you came up with it and they stole it from you and it wasn't y'all having an idea at the same time. That's a tough thing to do.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's probably how I wrap up everything I want to say, because I'm really hungry right now. Yeah, I just say, like, we have to be very careful about the information we take in, and also just think about what was the intent of the information, because I feel like these days, I mean, so much of what you see out there is meant to sway you in a direction, and I just think you have to really get to the point where you just kind of really know the history, and I think that's our biggest problem. Like, for example, with the Adele thing, I think that had we as African Americans taken more time to learn about, UK, African people and things like that, African descent, we would understand why it's different over there, because, America, we can act like Karens to ourselves sometimes because of our American, upbringing.
Yeah, but
being American is a culture. Being American is a culture in itself. So, I mean, we are African, but we're also African American. So we do have those personality traits, whether we want to admit it or not.
But you're warranted to like, don't get me wrong. I understand why people felt like that, but then this is why we had to, and this is why conversations like this are important as well, because, like, to see that other side and to know, like, I understand why. I understand that in America it's way different, but over here we run a little bit different in the terms of something like that. Like, in the terms of what Notting Hill Carnival is to us, for example. Like, Notting Hill Carnival holds that many people. Other people come to celebrate it. There's not 3 point something million like black people in London. Well, I don't know how many there is, but to come to celebrate all together for that kind of holiday or that kind of season, like, it's a big thing. It goes way past just the Caribbeans and the Africans. It started out as that, but then to carry on celebrating that is a different thing. And you have people from all walks of life, all races, all ages, all cultures, all everything, you know. So to come together and to put that into perspective, like, I think it was very important. And as you said, Darius, like, to know that, and as you see it as from the African American side, from the American side, what it's like, and then to actually hear from me, for example, what it actually was or how we felt about it, we're like, it's two different things. And these conversations, like something like this, is very important. I've just said that twice in two different ways, but yeah.
Yeah, I think maybe we all have learned a lot here, but I will say that I did learn a lot as far as understanding what this Windrush generation was. That right there is something that's like, actually, I've done it already. So I'm just like, that was very informative, and I really appreciate you bringing that information to the forefront, because sometimes just being, you know, in America, I get a little lost in the sauce as far as what's going on only like in my little circle. But I ain't gonna lie to you though, I love, you know, all people, but I'm gonna always be on edge about some of them, and that's just gonna be that on that. I just, you know, that's just that on that, you know.
Like, that's normal, and don't for a second think that like we don't understand that, because like I said, like I'm trying to summarize this quickly because I know you said that we're on a time limit as well, but like we see it like what I said, like you said that you're wrapped up in your own thing. It's not that you're wrapped up in your own thing. I get it. Like I said, America is big. You have all these different states and everything. Like, your news is probably going to go as far as that.
Yeah, it's very big. I mean, but you know, look, I get it, because I mean, in my particular home, we watch all news. We watch CGTN, China Global Television Network. You know what I mean? Try looking at CGTN, China Global Television Network is bomb. You get what I'm saying? Like, we watch the African news over here. Like, we watch it all to stay, you know.
I think that like when it comes to our news, like we hear stuff around the world and stuff like that, but I feel like a lot of it is either American news or British. Obviously it's British news, but then American news always plays a big part in it as well. Whereas I feel like maybe on the other way around, it's not as much the same. Like in America, like when me and Quentin were talking before, like they don't know much about the British news. That's why I was asking him to begin with, like, what's your representation of Britain like? Because obviously everyone in America thinks that it's like teas and crumpets and the Queen and that's it. No, it's the furthest thing away from that. That's like a small percentage of what London is like. You know,
she like, no, it's black, it's poverty. We over here in this.
like we have a sick culture. Like we have like a live culture. Like it's good, you know, and not even just away from that.
Yeah,
like,
I'm coming. You got me feeling. I need to come over there. When I come over there, I gotta hit you up. I gotta hit you up. You got hella fun.
Yeah, sounds low key top of my favorite TV show.
It's so much more than that. Like, everyone just thinks like I've seen the way how people talk about it, and they're all like, oh yeah, they just think it's like Downton Abbey. Like everyone's still wearing these Georgian dresses and stuff like that. No, we have our own sense of culture. We have our own sense of identity.
Well, Top Boy, we know.
You know, Top Boy, that's my shit right there.
I said that was a good representation. You're like, oh, okay, y'all all right. Y'all okay. I get it. Okay,
yeah. It's not my favorite. Like, Top Boy's okay, but it's not my favorite. Like, there's way other things to represent us than that. Do you get what I mean? Like, that's still just only showing one side of what British culture or British black culture is like as well. But I respect that, you know, about Top Boy. I'm a bit surprised.
Yeah, what's some good movies on Netflix? Yeah, because like me and my girlfriend, like we watch like a lot of like, you know, like foreign movies on Netflix. So we watch like a lot of Nigerian movies, like UK movies.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And we gotta, cause
no, wrap it up.
You 30 seconds in, look.
We gotta chat.
Y'all add me on Facebook.
All right. Take care.
We got the Facebook chat. I mean, the Instagram. Don't worry.
Yes. You Melatonia.
Yeah.
Your name is Popp'n Girl Melatonia. That's hella tight. That's tight. That's
I think we gonna start doing stuff like this more often and because it was other people that wasn't able to join in and stuff like that. I think this is really dope. So we gonna do it again. We gonna schedule a couple of them.
Much love. Thank you for spending your morning with me.
Oh my God, it's like 8 o'clock at night over here.
Yeah, man, it's 2. Girl. I'm still at work. They don't even know I'm on.
The fact that it's noon and my sisters made mimosas, I'm about to go play with my sisters.
But thank everybody for tuning in. We're going to do this more often.
Yeah, let me know.
Thank you for coming. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Darius, Flo.
Wakanda forever.
Every time you ain't seen. But we gonna do this more often. We gonna make sure that we gonna schedule some more because this was really dope and it was really easy to do that little 2 hours, and we gonna do a bunch more because it seemed like it's a lot to talk about. So,
word up.
Thank y'all for joining. It's all good to be tuning out. You feel me?
All right.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you again.
No
not
worries.
Live streaming no more. So I appreciate you.
Thank you.
And we're gonna do it again.
Do it, definitely. Let me know.
All right,
Bye.